Okay guys, this is geometry lesson 221. It's on graphing using y equals mx plus b. So this is something you're probably really familiar with, but there's two steps. So the first thing you have to do is graph the y-intercept. And then after that, you use the slope to find more points. At least one more, but typically I'll find 2 or 3 if I can. So first thing we have to do is identify which pieces are which. This was surprisingly difficult for me when I was in school. So remember how I always talk about the sign in front being attached to the number behind. It's sort of like Mr. and Mrs. It tells you what type of number it is. So the y-intercept is -3. So what you do is you start by putting a coordinate at -3. Then our slope is the coefficient of x. So it's 2/3. And remember, slope is rise over run. So you guys have some options, but basically from this point, you need to rise 2 and then run 3. Or you could go down 2 and backwards 3 because that also equals a positive 2/3. So you could go down 2 and backwards 3. Notice how they're all still in a line. That's how we know it's a legit move. So rise 2, run 3, and we've got our line. Make sure you put lines on the end because we've already talked about line segments and rays. It goes forever. So the next one, we're looking for the y-intercept. It's always the solo number with the sign in front attached. So the y-intercept is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then our slope for this one is -1/3, which is rise over run. This could also be 1 over -3. And you'll see why. But because it's negative, that means if you draw like a little dude on this side, he should be going downhill if he moves forward, okay? So from this point, according to this, we should drop 1 and then run 3. So drop 1, run 3, drop 1, run 3, drop 1, run 3, we're off the graph. Or you could do this. I'll do these dots in green so you see the difference. So this one says you could rise 1 and then run -3. That would mean run backwards 3. Or rise 1, run back 3. You see they still form a line. So that's how we know we're still okay. And then if this guy over here was going to move forward, he'd start going downhill. So we know we're set to go. Next one, our y-intercept is the number without the variables. So 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now this one is so easy that it's difficult. Our slope is right here, and it's really nothing, except technically it's a 1. So then students start to panic because there's no fraction. Well, you can always put it over 1. So it's like 1 over 1. This slope is so easy that it's difficult for students, myself included when I was a student. So you could also do 1 over -1 for your rise run. So let's start with the blue style. So drop 1 from here and move forward 1. Drop 1 forward 1, drop 1 forward 1, drop 1 forward. Or if you need to, you could go backwards. So rise 1 and then go backwards 1. Rise 1, backwards 1. Don't write this, but what students a lot of times will do here by accident is they will go down 1 because it's negative and go backwards 1. Down 1, backwards 1, down, back, because they see this negative, they do it twice. Well, what you end up with then is a positive line, and that is no good because we should have a negative slope. So make sure when you draw your line, if your slope is negative, you should have the dude going downhill from left to right, okay? If he's going uphill when the slope is negative, we're in trouble. All right, so this one, if you want to pause it and give it a try yourself, go ahead. But our intercept is -4, so we go 1, 2, 3, 4 in the negative, and our slope is 3. Again, this makes students panic, but you can always put it over 1. So your slope is 3 over 1, which is your rise over run. So from there, you can rise 1, 2, 3, run 1. 1, 2, 3, run 1. Run 2, 3, run 1. 1, 2, 3, run 1. Or down 3, backwards 1. That will still fall in line. Our slope is positive, so if the little dude was over here, he'd have to walk uphill. It'd be pretty steep, but he'd be going uphill. All right, this one, our y-intercept, there is no number. What that means is it's like plus 0. Then our slope is -2, but it's like -2/1. So we could also do 2/-1, same thing. It'll end up in the same line, you'll see. So for the blue one, if we go from here and drop 2, go forward 1, drop 2, forward 1, drop 2, forward 1, drop 2, forward 1. Or for the green ones, we could go up 2, backwards 1, up 2, backwards 1, up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1. We end up with the same line, and it's decreasing as it should because it's a negative slope. Okay? Now, you guys we'll have to work on your assignment now, but here's what I'd like you to make sure you know. If there's a person on the left side of the graph, if the slope is positive, he should be walking uphill. If the slope is negative, he should be walking downhill. We haven't talked about this yet, but if there's no slope, like no x term, the slope will be 0. He wouldn't be going uphill or downhill. He'd have no slope. He'd be walking like a flat line. And then if this one's kind of tricky, but there's something called undefined slope. This would be like if you walked off the edge of a cliff. So if the line is straight up and down, the slope is undefined. If the line is flat, it has no slope. If it's like this, it's a negative slope, and like this, it's a positive slope. Okay? So as you do your assignment, make sure if your slope's positive that your line looks like this. All right, go team.